Nedarim Daf contains two mishnayos, and it discusses when you make an isser on something, what is the status of things that are derived from that? And there are a number of different things that could go into this. There's something which is made from it, like cheese made from milk. The flavor of it, like if you have milk flavor in something. If you have something that's chopped up pieces of it, where it's not really negligible, the influence of it. When is it called the original thing that you made a neder on and it's included in the isser, and when is it not and it's excluded? It will make some difference how you phrase the neder, as we shall see. It'll make a difference if you made an isser on milk in general, for example, or if you made an isser on this cup of milk, or if you made an isser on tasting milk. That could be more of an issue, as we shall see as we work through the various cases in the two mishnayos and the brisa that the Gemara is going to bring. So let's begin. The Mishnah first begins and it discusses somebody who makes a neder asering milk. So what is the halacha of whey? Whey would be the leftover liquids after you took cheese or curds out of the milk. So the Mishnah goes in machlokas. The Tanna Kama says the isser does not apply to whey. Whey is not included as milk. Whey is not called milk. And Rav Yossi says the whey is usher as well. Now, if, however, he makes a neder on whey, then that most definitely does not apply to milk. The Gemara will say that Rav Yossi argues on that as well, but the Mishnah doesn't bring that. It just says that one is permitted to drink milk. Now, what about cheese? So Abba Shaul says if somebody makes a neder asering cheese, that forbids all kinds of cheese, whether salted or unsalted. Most cheeses are salted, so unsalted is a rare type of cheese. Somebody makes a neder asering meat, is allowed to have the brine, the sauce, the liquid that comes out of the meat, as well as the chopped bits of flakes of meat which settle in the bottom of the pot. Now Rabbi Yehuda asers that last thing, and then Rabbi Yehuda brings a story to back himself up. He says that Rabbi Tarfon aser das when we had eggs that was cooked with meat. So he said that somebody who made a neder asering meat asers those eggs as well. So you see that he even asered the flavor of meat which went into something. Certainly he should aser the juice of the meat as well as the bits of chopped meat. So the Gemara answers that was different because in that case, the Mishnah answers that was different because in that case he said basar ze alai, this meat is usher. If you say this meat is usher, that includes the flavor of that meat. If you just say meat in general, it does not include anything that has meat flavor, or even things which are not called meat that come from meat, such as meat sauce, brine, and the chopped bits that fall to the bottom of the pot. Now the Mishnah talks about a case where someone said, I am usher to taste something. So the Mishnah brings wine. If someone says, I'm not going to have wine, then he is permitted to have a cooked dish that has wine in it, because that's not called drinking wine. If, however, someone says, I'm not going to taste wine, and wine even accidentally falls into his pot, that answers everything in the pot as long as it has the flavor of wine within it. Now begin the Gemara. The Gemara asks a kasha on Rav Yossi contradiction, and then it brings a brisa which is very similar to our Mishnah. So the kasha on Rav Yossi, we saw in our Mishnah that Rav Yossi holds that if somebody makes an isser on milk, that includes whey. Whey counts as milk. The first question is that Rav Yossi does not hold that something that is altered from its original species counts as the original species. And we see that in the discussion of lentils. So we have a Mishnah or a brisa that says that somebody who makes an isser on lentils. So is a machlokes if it applies to ashishim or not. Ashishim is some discussion in the Shredem what that is, but whatever it is, it's a derivative of lentils which is altered. It's fried in honey or something along those lines. It's made with bread, with flour. So Rav Yossi says that what is the halacha of ashishim? So he says that they're mutter, they're not included. Ashishim don't count as lentils. So that's a kasha on Rav Yossi here, who says that whey counts as milk. So Gemara answers, we have the whole pshat wrong altogether. Rav Yossi is not arguing on the chachamim at all. They are just in different places, and it goes by how people used words in those places. In Rav Yossi's town, milk was also referring to whey. You would call whey milk. In Rabbanan's town, milk was not called whey. However, as far as Adashim and Ashishim go, there it again fell out, but this time was the opposite. In Rav Yossi's town, Ashishim are not under the name Adashim, and in the Rabbanan's town, they are. Now, the Gemara brings a brisa, which has a number of halachas as to what's included in what, and it also includes some of the statements in our Mishnah. The brisa says that somebody who makes an isser on chalav does not apply to whey. Whey does not apply to chalav. Whey does not apply to milk. Somebody says an Esser on milk does not apply to cheese. Cheese does not apply to milk. Somebody answers meat sauce, gravy. So that does not apply to the chopped bits at the bottom of the pot. And if he answers the chopped bits at the bottom of the pot, it does not apply to the gravy. Now, if he says this meat is also for me, then he is forbidden in its sauce and its meat and its gravy and its chopped bits. All those things are included because anything, if he says this meat, then anything even in a change form comes from that meat is included. Somebody makes an isser on wine, as we saw in our Mishnah, is mutter to have a stew that has wine in it, even if it has the flavor of wine, because flavor of wine does not count as wine in general. However, if he says this wine, and I'm not going to taste it, then if it falls into his top shell and it's enough to give flavor, it becomes aser as well. Now we get the next Mishnah, which discusses what is the halacha of juice. So it says somebody makes an isser on grapes is allowed to drink wine. Somebody makes an isser on olives is allowed to have olive oil. So juice does not count. However, if he phrases it as follows, if he says, these olives or these grapes, I will not taste from them, then it's forbidden to have the things that come from them as well. So Gemara begins. Gemara wants to know what is significant about this phrase. Is it because he said these? He said these olives and grapes, elu, or is it because he said that I taste? I mean, we have two variations between the case where it's permitted and the case where it's forbidden to drink the juice and the wine. So which is it? Is it the elu, or is it the tam, or is it the factor of taste? So the Gemara says right away, if the issue is elu, because he says these, why did we add that I taste? Elu makes sense that you could have there if it was not the issue. But if elu itself is what made the halacha that it becomes aser, so why do you have to add shani tayim that I'm not going to have the flavor? So the Gemara adds no. Maybe the chiddush is that really it is possible to say that elu is what makes it aser, not that he says that I taste. Why do we mention it? Because that I taste goes the other way. That I taste makes it more likely that it should be mutter. And the chiddush is that even if he said that I taste, even if he said shani tayim, still the fact that he said elu makes it aser. Gemara now brings three proofs, trying to figure out what is it that makes it aser. Is it elu or shani tayim? So Gemara's first proof is some Rabbi that says if somebody makes an isser on fruits and he says elu, he says these fruits. So the halach is the fruits are aser to him. It's also aser to anything which is exchanged for those fruits and anything which grows from that fruits. Now we didn't mention anything which is squeezed out of those fruits. So obviously the juice that comes out is mutter in this case. So you see that elu doesn't make an isser because here he said elu and it's still mutter. So Gemara answers no. Maybe really your dik is wrong. Here where he said elu, it was us. It would be aser anyway. Anything which is squeezed out is aser as well. Why didn't it write something which is squeezed out to the list of things that are aser? Telling you a bigger chiddush. It's telling you that even something which is further away from the fruit, something which is not from the fruit at all, something which is swapped for the fruit, it counts as if it grew from the fruit. Therefore, that is aser as well. So that's mentioned because that's the bigger chiddush. Gemara's second proof is from the next part of that same brisa. If he said that I'm not going to taste or eat, then he's permitted in things which are switched, swapped, or grow from those fruits. So you see that only things which are switched or swapped, that grow from the fruits, that is where he is mutter. However, something which is squeezed out of the fruit is aser. And here he said tam, he said taste. So you see, saying taste creates the iser. So the Gemara says, no, really, it should have mentioned something which is squeezed out as well, that is also mutter. The only reason it didn't mention is because since in the first part of the brisa it mentioned things which are switched or grow, so here also it mentioned things which are switched or grow. But the same halacha applies to things which are squeezed out as well. Now, the Gemara brings a conclusive proof that elu works to aser from our first case, from our first Mishnah in the Daf, where Peter quoted Rabbi Tarfon, who said, if somebody asers meat, then even eggs that are cooked with the meat become aser. And they said to him, that's only because he said zeh, because he said this meat. Now this meat is the same as these fruits. So you see, this meat and aser is anything which is cooked with it. It's certainly aser anything which comes out of it, because it has the flavor of it. And the Gemara accepts that, and the Gemara says, you're right. Anything which is, where you say elu, clearly there is an iser there. The question is, what about where he doesn't say elu and he says sheni tayim? Does that create an iser or not? That remains a shaila, which we have not answered yet. So the Gemara brings a proof. We saw in the Mishnah yesterday, if someone says fish or fishes, he says dug or dugim, I'm not going to taste from them, then he's aser in all types of fish, big ones, small ones, raw ones, cooked ones, he's allowed to have sauce and chopped pieces and sear and brine that comes out of it. So you see that in this case he says sheni time, and he's allowed to have things that come out of it. He's only not allowed to have different types of fish. So you see, obviously, it does not apply to things which come out of it. So the Gemara says, no, it's not necessarily true that he's not allowed to have things that come out of it. It could be things which come out of it after he made the neder or taka asr. Here, it's talking about things which came out before he made the neder, and the chiddush of the Mishnah is that they don't have the status of fish themselves. However, had he made the neder and said sheni tayim, then the yisur would apply to those as well. Anything which came out